Last time on Building Better with Bears, I did this little modern starter survival house thing, and I had some comments, several of them in fact, asking for the interior of this build. So today we are going to be focusing on specifically the interior of this build that you should be seeing on your screen right now, and showing you how I did the insides. My name is Wintertooth100, and thank you guys for watching. I see that 92% of you are still not subscribed. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can see when all my videos come out. I do snapshot videos, I do build tutorials, I do a let's play series, and maybe some other stuff coming in the near future. So click that bell if you want to see more. First, let's tackle the outside, because it's fairly simple. This is everything you're going to need to do the outside. First, you're going to want to center yourself on the front door, and we're just going to remove these blocks in a 3 wide strip until the end of your walkway, however long you want your front yard to be. Then, using a combination of stone, andesite, and gravel, we are going to randomly start filling in this pathway using a combination of these 3 blocks. I like to go just a little random with it, just kind of spam clicking some blocks in, and then you get this nice random texture, which just makes the walkway look really nice. On the right hand side, we're going to grab our dark oak leaves. We're just going to run a line of bushes all the way to the end, and then we're going to bring them up to a couple of random heights. Let's do it like that. And then we're going to grab our spruce trapdoors, and we're going to wrap them around and close them up so we get this nice little flower pot design. On the left hand side, we're going to grab our podzol, and we're going to remove the 6 blocks immediately in front of the window and replace this in with the podzol. We're going to grab our stone brick stairs, and we're just going to wrap this around just like this, and then do a combination of rose bushes and lilacs filling in every space. Now we're going to do the freshly mowed lawn. We're going to come from the beam on the left hand side, and we're going to remove all of the grass blocks, creating a nice square rectangular shape that goes hand in hand with the shape of the build. First, just remove all the grass. With all of the grass removed, we're going to be using lime terracotta and green concrete powder, and we're going to do a back and forth pattern. We're just going to do straight lines alternating between the 2 textures, filling in all of the empty spaces. This to me makes it look like you have a freshly mowed lawn. Don't forget the block under the upside down stair. That will help complete the illusion. If you leave that little actual grass block in there, it'll look a little funny in the corner of your eye for those who notice it. Coming around to the back side of the build, you can really do whatever you want with this, but what I have gone for is just creating a nice path block trail that kind of leads around and curves around the house. And this is kind of all I've really done in the back, is just make this little pathway kind of seemingly connect to the front. You could, however, spruce it up a little bit, placing in some bushes going all the way around. We'll replace these bottom 3 with podzol, and then we can get in our flowers just like this. And then we're going to do trapdoors, just framing them all in like this. And then with some more leaves, you can start adding some height variance going around to give it just a little more completed look. Next, on the left hand side of the build, I have created a very random pathway to kind of simulate a sort of driveway next to the house, and we're just going to fill it in with coarse dirt. That way this doesn't naturally refill itself with the grass block. And the final touch for the outside is with some bone meal. We're just going to kind of go around the build and spruce things up with a little grass flower mixture using the bone meal. This shouldn't take too much resources. If you use it correctly or sparingly, you can get away with some really nice looks without needing too much bone meal. Though this shouldn't be too difficult to get your hands on enough to actually fill it in. Moving on to the inside of the build, this is everything you're going to need to do the interior. Of course, you're going to need multiples of each of these items, but this is everything. Moving to the inside, we're going to be using a beehive. You can use normal oak planks, but I personally like the beehive, and if you do use the beehive, it is directional for its texture, so be sure to use the correct texture. We're going to fill in all of the spaces of the floor with the beehive. So then you should have something that looks sort of like this. Again, you can just use normal oak if you don't want to go through all the effort of getting all the beehives. Next, we're going to figure out how the interior is divided. I have gone ahead and figured out where all of our beams are going to be, but this is one of the most important steps for doing interior design. You should definitely be dividing your house, your build, into different rooms before you even think about decorating. Knowing where your living room is going to be, knowing where your bedroom is going to be, knowing where the kitchen or bathroom or ready room, knowing where all that stuff is going to be first before you even think about decorating is super important. With that in mind, coming through the front door, we're going to count 1, 2, and then 1 to the left, and that's where our first beam is going to be. Moving on from there, we're going to go 1, 2, and 1 to the right. That's where our next beam is going to be. And then skipping 3 blocks from that one up against the wall, we're going to have our third beam. Orientating ourselves to the front door, from this first beam, we're going to continue out 1, 2, and then 1 to the left. It will be diagonal from this wall. Now raise each of the beams up to be 4 blocks in height. So there should be a total of 4 tall. Next, because the fireplace is something that is both on the exterior and the interior, we want to make sure we do this early on because this can affect how you proceed in doing your build. So here we're going to bring it out another 3 so it's actually on the inside of the wall. And we're going to add a little trim around it, and you're going to have to get a little creative in some of these spots to get the right shapes. And we're just going to add in this little trim. So we got our nice little mantle place. We can put stuff up there if we really wanted to. And then we're going to fill in the rest of this just like that. We're going to put in our campfires along the bottom. You don't have to do this, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm going to put these out so we don't have to hear the fire the whole time. And then run your iron bars across it. You of course have a few options with how you want to tackle the top of the fireplace, but I personally like to fill it in 3 wide. This is going to work with the next step of the interior, and you'll see why in just a moment. We're going to run this all the way to the roof. As promised, that next step, we are going to use our oak logs, and we're going to make a T shape. This is dividing the first floor from the second floor, and we're just going to run this beam all the way across. We will be altering this a little bit in just a moment, but directly above the fireplace and under the beam, we're going to put in an upside down stair, and then we're going to do one here as well. Then we'll do a trapdoor here. That way you don't see this cross divide between the 2 logs. It just kind of looks more like it's one seamless thing. Not all of the blocks we are going to be placing are going to stay, so you will be getting some of these materials back. But we're going to take our spruce stairs and we're going to place them in upside down, kind of framing this log in the center, and we're going to follow that through. We really want to keep framing it, and we're going to follow it all the way along the edges of the wall, and at the end of it you should have something that looks kind of like this. So there's just going to be a 1 block gap for the most part between the beam and the spruce stairs. Next we're going to take our spruce trapdoor and we're just going to run it across and fill in all of these gaps. And once you get to this point, you're probably wondering which direction the trapdoor should go. We are in fact actually going to just use a slab, the only slab, spruce slab, in the entire build. To demonstrate why it's super important to figure out the shapes of your rooms first, we're going to move the location of one of these beams to emphasize that we're just capable of doing that right now. So when you're doing your build, if there's anything that you've decided that you don't like or didn't turn out quite the way you wanted, this is the time to go through and change it, to fix it to the way you think it's going to work better. So we got a more open feel here, and we couldn't get that if we had already gone through and started, building the kitchen first, and then did the next wall, and then started on the living room, and then decided we didn't like the kitchen. We really wouldn't have too many options in changing it at that point. But this way, we do. This next part's more of a creative choice, and you don't necessarily have to do this. But I'm going to take the oak stairs, and I'm going to replace this line of beehives with these stairs and wrap them all the way around. And we're going to take oak slabs to fill in the 3 blocks in the middle. If you decide to do this, you will need to make sure that your log runs all the way to the ground, an extra block, because this will now be exposed. Continuing through, we're going to create our spiral staircase. We really want to get all of the structural parts of the build done before we start decorating. So this is very important. So we have enough clearance. I'm going to replace this stair with a normal block, and then we are going to use spruce stairs. We're going to place a right side up one, and then we're going to do an upside down one right next to it, and then we're going to do a turning upside down one next to that. This will make our platform for the next stair. And as you go, you'll notice that there's going to be some problems moving up, and we're going to start removing blocks as we do so. Wrapping around back to this back side, we're going to do the same thing, an upside down stair, and then another upside down stair next to that. You'll notice that this beam is now officially in our way, and I did mention something about removing this beam at some point. We're going to place in our stair here. We're going to knock out this piece of the log and then this trapdoor. While we're here, we're going to knock out that stair and place it in so you got a little bit more clearance there, and then a trapdoor right next to that. This will give you plenty of room to go up and down right here. Moving down towards the bottom, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do an upside down stair with an upside down stair here, and then we're going to replace this trapdoor with an upside down stair just like that. Working our way up the stairs, of course, we'll place in our stair like that. We're going to grab our wood log and we're going to place this in just like that in those two spots with trapdoors on top of that. And then, of course, we can start creating our little banister wrapping around here. You want to hold shift when you're aiming on top of the other trapdoors, or you'll just open the trapdoor, and we don't want to do that. On the first floor by the fireplace, we're going to take our spruce trapdoors and we're going to place in 3 right next to this beam and close them all up. Then we're going to place in another one right under this, so we have this nice and closed off. We're going to wrap around and do a trapdoor here, and then we're going to do 2 right here, and you're going to have to get a little creative and place in a temporary block there so you can place this guy in and close them up. And then to fix this little gap here, we're going to replace these trapdoors with upside down spruce stair. We're going to wrap this one, and then we're going to replace this one and have this guy in there, so it kind of looks like this was always meant to wrap through, and then you'll get something sealed up that looks something like this. Next, we're going to take our beam, our oak log, and we're going to create that next beam. Those 2 right there, perfectly simple, and then we're going to do our spruce stair upside down here and upside down there, and then I'm sure you can guess what's next. We're going to do 3 trapdoors and close them off just like this. While we're here, we're going to do 6 more trapdoors. This is actually one of those funny spots of the build. We're actually going to make it only 2 by 2, so it's 4 in total here, not 6, not a 2 by 3. We're going to replace the 2 trapdoors on the top and place in some upside down stair there, or you can do full blocks. It doesn't really matter depending on what you have the most of to spare. And then we're going to do 2 barrels side by side. That closes this off for in here. And then on the back side, it looks just like this. And I just want to take a moment to just kind of sit here and let you guys get a good look at it, see how the roof and the beams and walls that we've created all connect up and create these different rooms, and how this staircase connects. Because I understand it could be a little complex going through it, but at the end of it, when you have it, it looks nice, and you realize it's really not so difficult. It is coincidentally at this point that you can do the interior decoration however you want. You do not need to follow the rest of this tutorial if you want to do your own interior, because the floors, the beams, the divisions, the rooms, they are all in place now, and you can feel free to go crazy with it. If you, however, do want to see the rest of this, just keep watching. We're going to start with the kitchen, and the first thing we're going to want to do is replace this floor. This isn't a suitable floor for a kitchen, so we're going to replace all of the beehives with white and black concrete, not powder, actual concrete, and just fill it in a checkerboard fashion. Next, we're going to take our furnace. We're just going to place it right under the window. We're going to do a cauldron under this window, fill it with some water. We're going to grab quartz stairs and place them upside down right next to the cauldron. We're going to grab 2 blocks of iron and place them in like this for our fridge. And we're going to also want to get in here and place in our door to the fridge. We're going to do a right side up quartz stair above the furnace with a iron trapdoor above it. This is kind of like that little fan that suctions out all of the smoke from our cooking platform. We're going to take 2 more barrels and we're going to place them in just like this. And as quickly as that, the kitchen is done. We're going to grab our armor stand. We're going to place it in this back of this hallway so you can place your armor in there. You're probably going to need an assistant block to prevent your painting from doing anything crazy. We're going to try to get a 2-wide painting just like that. And then we're going to move to the living room. We're going to take our dark oak stairs, place them in just like this. We're going to do a cauldron on the side with a carpet on top of it. We're going to take our end rods and do 2 end rods just like that, one on top of the other. We're going to do the cyan wool on top of that with 2 cyan banners connected to that so we get this nice look to it. And then with the floor, you have a couple of options here. I'm just going to replace the whole floor, and I'm going to do a mixture of the gray and red carpet. And then, of course, you can use the actual carpet on top of the wool to give it this textured look. And finally, the last thing on the first floor, we're going to flip around. We're going to take our dark oak stairs, and we're just going to make a little wrapping around like this. And we're going to put a sign on either end of it. And we have a little wraparound love seat couch in the corner there. That is everything for the first floor. If you want to help your lighting situation on the first floor, you can simply just place in a lantern on top of the kitchen counter, because between the end rod, the fireplace, and that, your whole first floor should be perfectly fine. Moving upstairs, you may want to place in a trapdoor just like this so you can't accidentally walk off. And then in this back corner, we're just going to start filling it in with our bookshelves to have our enchanting area. Now, you're probably not going to have a full enchantment set up with this, but it still looks nice. We're going to place in a couple of lanterns on top of it, and you can get a few levels out of this. Turning around, we're going to place in a handful of bookshelves just like this, and we want to get in some backwards facing looms so we get the empty bookshelf look. So it looks something like that. We're going to take red beds and we're just going to place 3 in just like this. We're going to do crafting tables on either side. We're going to place a lantern on top of one of them for the light. And then we're going to take our gray and red carpet and we're just going to run this carpet all the way around, creating this little pattern. And just like that, your second floor is complete. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this follow-up tutorial to this first build. This one's a little longer than I thought it was going to be. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, anything, really. If you did like it, if you did learn something, do me a favor and hit that notification bell and hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 2,000 subs. I can feel it. This is the year of the bear. Leave me a comment down below what you guys want to see next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.